Alright, we are here live, and I wanted to make sure I could see everything. Hope everybody is doing well. We're partying here this week as we do each and every single week, and I appreciate y'all. So, make sure you hang tight and you stay tuned, because today I'm talking about the Clickbank Jungle and how I was, not the Clickbank Jungle, but the Jvzoo Jungle and the Clickbank cartel, and how those things impacted me and my ability, and how they may be impacting your ability to function and automate your business. So I want to welcome you to this week's Tech Training Tuesday. I am your host, your trainer, your guy, Justin Morgan, here to help you automate your business, master your destiny, and maximize your impact. So I'm always glad to be here and converse with you, and then of course share some stories and tales and follies of this journey as I've gone through of learning all the softwares and the tools and the processes and all the principles that go into automation, the ups and the downs. It's a lot of trial and error. So I've gotten here by a lot of trial and error. So you may identify with that in your business. You may have gotten where you are with a lot of trial and error. So let me know in the comments below. Question of the day for you is, how much trial and error have you had in your business? And what exactly are you experimenting with right now? I want to know in the comments below. Make sure you share that as you come in here, and as you say hello, make sure you greet your fellow hashtag Black CEOs. Make sure you greet your fellow automators, greet your fellow entrepreneurs, speakers, and coaches. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and how you impact your community, and how you plan on impacting the world. I'm curious. I want to know. So today, as I go in and see, good evening, everybody. I see good evening, and good evening, Mr. and Mrs. and Mrs. Morgan. I appreciate y'all being here. Again, if y'all like this content, there's a share button. Don't be shy with it. If you're here on the replay, as I usually do, make sure that you tag me with any questions. This is your time. So I don't like to just talk. I actually like sessions where I get to answer questions. So if you do have one for me, something to say, something you want to request, something you want to hear, something you want to learn, make sure that you let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll never know. You'll never get what you wanted, and you'll never grow in your business. So you may be one question away from the thing that you need. So as we hop into this again, we're going to be talking about the Jvzoo Jungle and the Clickbank cartel. Now, what is that? Sounds like a crazy Western movie, right? Now, again, I mentioned, got here, a lot of trial and error, a lot of up and down, right? Plenty of down, okay? And so one of my biggest, right, so largest opportunities I started out with, I failed, like horribly. Had this big speaking opportunity, and I failed. I didn't have a sale, not a thing. And so this was a catalyst, right? This was a catalyst, a driving force for what was to happen. The thing that drove me into the jungle, so to speak, and also had me roughing and wrestling with the cartel. See, I've had these experiences with these groups slightly, a little bit before this point, but it only took a little bit of a spark to just take me deeper in, right? It only took me a little bit to take me deeper in. And so I had to embark on kind of this journey to recover, so to speak, from this failure. Again, the failure was I spoke on a stage, didn't make any sales. You may have been there, and I was heartbroken. I mean, it was frustrating. It was a lot. Took a lot of energy to get ready. You know, I thought I was prepared. Thought it was the best speech I had given at that time. Anyway, I thought I had put everything together. I thought the program and the offering was right. Thought I was there, but it didn't work out. So I had to go out and figure out what to do. And so I kind of had this revelation that, all right, well, the problem I had, really the source of my issue, was that I spent a ton of time working on a website. And again, that could be good, but there's a lot of bad that unfortunately goes into that because I wasted a bunch of time. So it wasn't really what I needed at that moment. Again, I've harped on this, but again, a website, if treated improperly, if focused on in the wrong way, if you don't understand the principles, can truly be a liability versus an asset, right? The website can be a liability versus an asset. And so, unfortunately, it became the liability. It cost me probably about 5 figures at that point in time. When you really look at the opportunity and the cost, you're probably about a 5-figure loss, which is big, which is major. That's not minor. Okay, so I wanted to recover from that. So I went on this journey of trying to figure out, all right, well, if this website isn't the thing that I needed to figure it out. I needed to figure out what I needed, right? So it took me down the spiral of, okay, I got to find these new softwares. So I try all these different softwares. I land across Confusion or Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft, at that point in time, also went in my pocket, took out my money, laughed at me, and then continued on its way. So I've talked about that as well. Right? So they pretty much reached in my pockets, took all I got, and then kept on going for the day. And again, that left me defeated, broken. I thought I found a solution to my system problem, and I didn't. Like, I was still kind of at square one, and my bank account might as well have been at 1. Literally 1. Might as well have been, right? So continuing on, I knew that I needed a system, right? The thing and the reason I got Infusionsoft was because I failed at the website thing the first time. I figured Infusionsoft was superior because it had all these tools, right? But it wasn't what I really needed. And so now I went down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out all the tools that I could possibly get that matched what Infusionsoft had promised me, right? Again, it was a broken promise. They made all these promises and guarantees, and so they had all these things. And so I got on this idea. Like, I don't know if somebody's ever sold you an idea, you just got so excited about it. It's like when you're a kid, right? And an adult tells you you're going to do something. You get really excited about it. It's so excited, though, that when the circumstances change, that your expectations don't change, right? You could be promised to go to the amusement park, but then there's a hurricane outside, but you still want to go to that amusement park. Your expectations have not changed. Even though the situation has completely shifted, your expectations did not change. And this is how I felt, right? Again, different ball game. I went after this one thing, went after Infusionsoft. I was going to do everything I needed it to do, and it didn't. So now I have to go and figure out, how can I make all these things that were going to be on Infusionsoft happen without actually getting it? And so that left me up to wander and explore. Now, if you know me, I'm a very curious guy. I like to research. I love to learn. I love to dabble. I'm very, very well versed in trying a bunch of different softwares. Now, so I go out there and, I start Google searching all these different tool types and all the promises that Infusionsoft gave me. And I get into these couple different platforms. There's a platform called Jvzoo. There's a platform called Clickbank. Now, these are just examples of something like, for example, just imagine that you, on your corner of your store, of your block, right, had a store. And your store had every software possible, right? Just there at the corner, just easily accessible, every software. But not just every software, all the new ones, whether it be from somebody dependable or not, right? So it's kind of like your consignment store, right? Anybody can bring and offer stuff for them to sell there. So that's kind of what Jvzoo and Clickbank are, right? You can go there, find all these different tools, all these different pieces of software that do and promise all these things. Now, what happens, right, is you sign up and you go there and you find one tool and it's great. It makes all these promises. You're going to make all this money. You buy it and you don't make much. That's what happened to me, right? You buy it, you don't make much. You go out there. So the beauty, though, is because you signed up once, right? Because you went on Jvzoo, like I went on Jvzoo, right? You sign up once, and then Jvzoo has this nice thing that they do. Like it's really funny in my opinion. Like it's really funny in my opinion. They send you an email the next, week or so, and then that email offers you another thing. So then that thing promises you money. So what do? You go and then buy that thing because it promises you to make you money. And then after that, Jvzoo, they email you again. Clickbank, they email you again. They email me again. And you try to ignore the first couple of emails. But then there's this other product that promises all these things. Right? And then before you know it, you're kind of stuck in this cycle. Like it just is ongoing cycle. It never ends. Right? It's the song that never ends. Okay? Lamb chop style. Okay? It just keeps on going and going and going until you find that you've bought every piece of software possible, and spent more money than you've made, and you've made no progress. See, this leads you into this thing called the shiny penny syndrome, which I termed, but really it's just, again, that shiny object syndrome, right? There's always the next best thing. There's always something out there that's exciting. And what Jvzoo and Clickbank does is it pulls you into that trap. That's what it did to me. I still have to fight with those platforms. Why? Because I'm technically in that space now. So I have to kind of be in tune with what's going on there. But I'm a lot better now. I'm a lot better. I don't get roped into everything anymore. Okay? I learn how to vet products. And I learn how to make them make sense. Okay, so that's one thing I picked up. But again, it was just a trap. A trap that led down a very shaky road. And ultimately, I benefited in one way, but in one way also detracted. And so I share this, right? I say this not just because I wanted to blab run about some story, but because I know for you, again, in your business, right now, you have some distraction. You feel like you need the next tool. You feel like you need the next thing. You feel like you need to go out there and spend more money. Always. You always feel that way. So there's always that next thing. Again, the jungle is thick. The cartel does not want to let you go. Jvzoo, Clickbank. There's other platforms just like it. They don't want to let you go. Sometimes you got to learn how to step out. Because if you really want to automate your business, again, the key thing, and what I like to share is automating your business isn't always about having the fancy piece of software. It's about starting where you are. It's about starting where you are, working with what you have, having a process to put into it. See, what you don't really know and the shift you need to make is that if you have the software, but you don't have a process, then you fail. And if you don't have a process that's not driven by the right principle, then you also fail. So you must have a process that's based on a principle. So you must have a principle first, right? So principles first. Then that leads to a strong process. Then the strong process is meant to lead to a powerfully used software, right? You got to have all those things. You must have the principle first. The principle leads to the process, and then you can purchase the product that runs those things. If that makes sense, right? Again, first is the principle, then the process, and then you invest in the product. Don't do it out of that order. Right? You gotta do it in that order. Otherwise, you're gonna spend more money than you intended, right? You're gonna spend more time than you intended. And then ultimately, it's going to be like you traveled 1,000,000 miles in the wrong direction. Surely it felt like work. Surely it felt like you went somewhere. Surely it felt like you traveled to a destination, but the destination was not where you were supposed to go. And so, again, I got caught up in the Jvzoo jungle and the Clickbank cartel taking me thinking I was going somewhere. Thinking I was making progress. Thinking I was doing something. And in reality, I was ending up nowhere. And that's the problem. See, again, you need to make sure that first you get the principle. Automation is not just about software. First, you need to get the principle. Second, then you have a process. And then third, you go out and get the product. First, the principle. Second, the process. Then third, the product. Don't do it differently. You'll waste time. You'll waste money. And you'll give yourself the idea that you succeeded when you really didn't. There are too many of us, coaches, speakers, digital entrepreneurs, whatever area you're in, that you feel like you've done something. But in reality, you've made no impact. You've made no real revenue. And you've never really moved the needle toward the dream that you ultimately had. And that's the sad part. Because you were doing this because you wanted to impact somebody. You wanted to help somebody. You wanted to make a difference. Because you haven't been moving in that direction, even though you thought you were, you haven't been moving in that direction, it's costing you. So don't do what I did. Don't end up in the Jvzoo jungle. Don't end up with getting caught by the Clickbank cartel. Those things will take you down. So how do you defeat those things? Right? How do you get around those things? How do you deal with that? Now, the way that I did it was that I discovered the power of a couple different things. Okay? There's the power of what I would consider the all-in-one platform. Now, an all-in-one platform, the way it occurs, that syndrome, the want to go out and buy everything else, is that you go out, you get that platform, it has everything you need. You don't need to do any more, don't need to buy any more. If you just settle yourself down, calm yourself down, keep your wallet in your pocket for just a second. Keep your wallet to yourself for just a moment. Save your credit card, right? And just focus. Again, make sure you have a principle first, process second, and then the product third. Then you'll be fine. You'll be good. And you can take that one platform and work with it and run with it. So that's the journey I went on from that point. That's how I ended up here, right? Because I understand, again, one, I learned the principle. We'll talk about principles another time. Then I learned the process, and we'll talk about that as well. And then third, then I found the right product. Now, again, there was a lot of trial and error, but I found those things. What's going on, Cheryl? Welcome. Good evening to you as well. I appreciate you being here. All right, so if you're lurking in the comments, again, Cheryl, like let me know who you are, what you do, how do you serve the community. I'm curious, always curious, and you have a question for me, please let me know. So again, that was the one thing, right? So I said there were two things. One was the fact that I found an all-in-one platform. Okay, so that was one of the major pieces. But then I understood, again, as I looked at the shiny penny syndrome and the shiny object syndrome, again, that was just, look, we're humans, right? So let me be real. We're human beings. We like things that are new. We like things that are shiny. We like things that are fresh. We like to think that we're keeping up, okay? And so one of the problems is fighting that urge is hard. So instead of fighting the urge, how about finding a way to feed that urge without feeding out your cash? And so what I found was that there's an alternative, right? There's an alternative. And it's something that I wanted to create. Again, I had it in my brain that I wanted to put together, and something I really didn't see too many different places. And it was, how can you create a platform, an area, a place where somebody, instead of spending money every time they need to get something new, could just invest once, right? Invest once, and then continue to get access to new things. So there are these things out there, right? So there's something, and again, I put it out there. There's something out there. It's called AppSumo. Is a great platform for that, okay? I'm actually creating one myself inside of Tech Labs. It's called the Tech Toolbox. So one of the things that I'm very passionate about, because again, I realized that, hey, this was my problem, right? I got caught up in buying every new thing. So I know somebody else is suffering from it, and I want it to stop. Why do we have to go out and always feel the need to buy the new next thing? So how can I have a platform, a place in the space where people can get access to some of the new best things and not waste their time on the stuff that's junk. Not waste their money on the things that are best, not good investments, and have to waste time trying to chase them down and get their money back. Why? Why do we have to do that? So I created Tech Labs with that in mind. So I've already launched Tech Labs. I'm relaunching it. If you want to be present for the relaunch, do me a favor. Text the word LAB. Just L-A-B. LAB. L-A-B to 240-696-2009. Text the word LAB. 240-696-2009 if you want to be alerted of the relaunch, which will be coming in the next couple weeks. I'm excited. The toolbox is one of the main things I'm putting in there because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. Like it's old, it's dangerous, and it's not ultimately where you need to be. Okay, and in there, I'm going to talk about the principle. I showed you the process, and then we talk about also the products that you need. So check it out. Again, the word LAB, L-A-B, the 240-696-2009. Text the word LAB to 240-696-2009. But while we're here, let's go ahead and talk about principle. Let's talk about process. Let's talk about product. Product's a little bit more obvious. So let's talk about principle first. Okay? So again, if you want to take some notes, this is the good time to. So principle. When it comes to automating your business, there are a ton of principles. There's only one I'm going to mention now. Right? There's only one I'm going to mention now. And that principle is I am. So people pay you first with their information, second with action, and third with money. If you do it out of that order, you cut your revenue by 80%. Now, why is that? Right? Why is that? And why is that the principle you should lead with when you think of automation? Again, automation, right, requires a process. See how these things are all linked? Principle, process, then product, right? So the principle doesn't require some fancy process. Doesn't require a product. It's just a matter of how you do things. It's the order of operation. So no matter what business you're in, what field you're in, even, right, maybe it's not business related, right? Like any part of life, information, then action, then money. Like those things pretty much always go in order, okay? My wife's watching, right? We met, I had to get her information, right? Right? Then had to take the action of asking her out, right? And then marriage, money, see? There you go. It all works out. But to bring it back to business stuff, I'll make my wife chuckle a little bit. Bring it back to business stuff and this is my favorite example. I think it's a beautiful example because, again, if you know me, right, folks that know me, my other brand, I'm big on dragons. Like, I know a lot of my dragon stuff is gone because it did a lot of cleanup back here to move some stuff out. But I'm big on dragons. So one of the things my wife and I would like to do, again, because, we try to do budget-friendly stuff. So we go to these craft festivals and events and everything. And at these events, there's always at least one vendor who's doing stuff that has, like, dragons. And so I get crazy excited, right? So pretty much, if you didn't know, if you have, like, a dragon-related product and I have money, you can pretty much just reach my pocket, take the money, and just hand me the product. Just assume I'm going to buy it if I can, right? Just assume that I will. I don't care what it is. It can be a hat, can be shoes, can be a figurine. Like, I don't care what, can be food. I don't care what it is. Got the word dragon on it, pretty much gonna buy it. All right. So we go there and we always go to these festivals. I always see and hit at least one vendor that has dragon stuff. Now, for whatever reason, at that point in time, right, either it's not the right time or we're just broke at that point. We're just there for free anyway. So it's not the time to buy. So what do I usually do? I ask them for their business card, which is great. I take their business card and it goes into the mysterious, wondrous world of my back pocket to only never be seen again. I still don't know where half of those business cards are. They're probably been recycled, thrown out, etc., etc. Okay. Now, the problem is that usually later on, like maybe a month or so later, either I have the money or it gets closer to holiday time where I'm still trying to figure out what I want. So my birthday or, Father's Day, Christmas, like I always trying to figure out what I want. And a dragon item is always on the table. The problem is I never really have a good idea at that moment. So what if instead of I had gotten their business card, they were able to call me, message me, text me, email me around holidays, around my birthday, whatever it is, and remind me that I was interested. Either I would buy, or you better believe it'd be on a list somewhere. I would tell somebody that I wanted that thing, and they may buy it. Now the beauty is, again, they got if they had got my information first, they can do this, but because they didn't, it never happens. And the sad part is it didn't just happen with me, not just this guy. I'm certain I'm not the only person that walked past that booth that day. I'm certain that my wife wasn't the only person that walked past that booth that day. So how much money they leave on the table? Information, action, money. If you do it out of that order, you cut your revenue by 80%. See, that's the principle. See, now once you have the principle, then you map out the process. Now the process is a little more physical work, right? The process either requires that you set something up or you just establish what the formal process will be. How will you capture their information? It's going to be on a clipboard. It's going to be on an app on your iPad. Is it going to be an email? Is it going to be on the back of a napkin? Are you going to memorize it in your mind? Whatever it is, what's the process? When are you going to take the information? When are you going to make them take action? What's that action going to be? You can map those things out on paper. So what I really usually tell you to do is map out the customer experience. Now that experience is based on a principle. The experience is the process that's based off of a principle. You see where I'm going with this? Again, principle first, and then process. And then once you map out the process that you want people to take, you know what you want them to see. You know what you want them to feel. You know what you want them to hear, to read, to experience. Like, where do you want them to go? The journey you want them to flow through. Once you map those things out, then you figure out the product that fits that picture. And that picture is a process that's based off of a principle. There's a lot of P's. Principle, process, product. You can't do it out of that order. You got to do it properly. Order matters. Order matters. Make sense? Or does it save sense? Make sense? Does it save sense? I think it does both. All right. If y'all have questions for me, leave them down in the comments below. I will always field your questions. If you've been here, make sure, again, I see some folks say hello. Henry Irvin, hey, welcome, man. How's it going? Feel free to let us know about your business. Let us know what you do, how you impact the world. I'm always curious. Again, if you want to check out Tech Labs, right? If you want to check it out, the relaunch, text the word lab, LAB, the 240-696-2009. Text the word lab. Larry Alpha Bravo, the 240-696-2009, and you'll get an update soon. Again, you'll get on my text list, and I'll send you a text message with all the details so you can check it out. Get it early in the relaunch phase as I get folks going. And I want to make sure I can help you out and help you automate your business. So, again, I don't see any questions, so we shall start to wrap things up as we do here each and every week. Again, if you catch us on the replay, you are also allowed to ask questions. It is okay. I will not bite. Just make sure you tag me, and I will make sure I respond to you. All right, Black CEOs, this has been a great evening. I appreciate everything that y'all do. I appreciate who you are. Make sure you share this with a friend, a family member, or a foe, because they need this information too. I again appreciate you. Hashtag Black CEO out. And as usual, treat each day as a building block to a better future. Peace.